Morning, everybody. How you doing today? On this episode of the show, I want to talk to you about how cybercriminals use cryptocurrency in order to make money. Now, this was prompted by a decent report that came out from a company called Chain Analysis, and they specialize in analyzing blockchain and cryptocurrency transactions to help law enforcement, investors, and a whole bunch of other interested parties really wrap their heads around what's going on in public cryptocurrencies. Now, their report focused on how cybercriminals and the darknet leverage cryptocurrencies, and they had some really interesting facts. Now, I would have liked to see a little bit more about their methodology to understand how they were accomplishing these things, but one of the things they were looking at was the largest exchange breaches as well as where that money went. And that was what really was interesting to me, is that they analyzed how cybercriminals then liquidated those assets. Because the number one challenge when it comes to cryptocurrency from a sort of scale issue around security is the exchanges themselves. So there's been some pretty famous exchange breaches, and we've talked about it in season 1 last year on this show as well. Because at the end of the day, cryptocurrency is really just a file that's sitting on your computer. And we've seen a number of exchanges. So exchanges help you deposit money and then take it out in another currency form or to aid in help authorize transactions, things like this. But this is just all data sitting on somebody's computer. Now, there was rumors of here in Canada last week that one of the major Canadian exchanges, or a large Canadian exchange, couldn't access millions of dollars of assets because the founder passed away. Now, there was a report that came out that disputed that based on looking at their previous transactions. So it's just a reminder that these are just digital files that need to be protected and thus can be hacked as well. And that was part of this point from Chain Analysis. Now, interestingly enough, the data from Trend Micro over 2017, especially in the end of 2017, we saw a massive spike, and it continued throughout 2018, that cybercriminals are trying a crime or a scam called cryptojacking. And essentially what this is that they are going to try to take over your system or your web browser in order to mine cryptocurrency. So the way cryptocurrency works is essentially your computer needs to guess a whole bunch of numbers to find a valid one on the chain in order to create new currency. So instead of just, being able to buy and sell, which you absolutely can do, if you want to generate new currency in the economy, you need to mine it, which is why there was this run on GPUs for the last couple of years. But interestingly enough, that's really expensive to mine for cryptocurrency. In fact, for Bitcoin, it's currently not worth it to mine. Bitcoin is trading less at the average value of finding a Bitcoin through mining, and Ethereum's not that far off. So there's these challenges around cryptocurrency and how to continue to make money here. Well, cybercriminals have figured out that it doesn't cost them anything to use your resources to mine cryptocurrency, and that's exactly what's happening. Now, I thought that was a little interesting because that was missing from the Chain Analysis report. They had a fantastic thing looking at the analysis of hacks into major exchanges, the breakdown of how cybercriminals liquidate and turn those assets into something they can use was really good, but they missed that one area of the fact that criminals are basically mining legitimate, big quotes around legitimate crypto coin, by leveraging other people's resources. Now, that's a really difficult thing to track because you need to figure out what wallets are being used as part of this malware scheme. But that's another way that cryptocurrency is being leveraged by cybercriminals, because at the end of the day, they're trying to make money. And if this is an automated way that they can make money, then they're absolutely going to take advantage of that. Now, on the defense side and the research side and the law enforcement side, it's really interesting because all these transactions are public, and they're all in a very computer accessible form, which means organizations and research teams like the one at Chain Analysis can do this type of breakdown of saying like, hey, we saw this one exchange breach and here's where all those funds went, and yet they can't do that final step, which is why they work with law enforcement and why law enforcement is required of once that money or that value leaves the system. But it's a really, really interesting work. But I think, for most people out there, the day-to-day is to ensure that your endpoints are far more secure or secure. You're running good endpoint security tools to ensure that your machines aren't being used to mine cryptocurrency. And then on the flip side, if you are active in the cryptocurrency community, make sure that you're using an exchange that has a really high internal security standard. So they're securing their back end of systems strongly. They're actively monitoring all their security controls. They're actively backing things up so you avoid this potential issue where somebody has the passwords and they pass, if that was in fact the case. And you avoid this issue of a hacker simply stealing a bunch of files and all of a sudden they've got millions of dollars. Interesting interesting world. I think, cryptocurrency is still shaking out as seen by the fluctuations with Bitcoin, but there's absolutely value in the back end ideas, in the technology. There's just a lot of stuff we need to learn, and this is part of it. I'll link to all the stuff I've been talking about down below. As always, interested in what your thoughts are on the subject, hit me up online at MarkNCA. For those of you on the vlogs, in the comments down below. And as always, for podcast listeners and everybody else, by email, me at markn.ca. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next show.